What's going on? Here we are, the WGR Live, talking on my Facebook page. We're going to be talking with Bob Loeffler today from Fearless Agent. Let me get him pulled up here. This will be pretty awesome because this is Bob's first ever live stream. So before we get started into this, make sure that you guys put in the comments where you're from. Put a number 1 if you've heard of Fearless Agent. Put a number 2 if you've never heard of Fearless Agent. If you're looking to help anyone, have any clients in Utah buying or selling real estate, send it to the WGR Real Estate Sales Team. So we'll wait for Bob to hop in just a second. As we get going, make sure that you ask your questions below, and this will be obviously sponsored from our friend. Would like to increase your sales in real estate. Here we go. He's invited in. Really get in. I'm going to shift up over here. So listen, if you're looking to buy or sell any real estate in the state of Utah, WGR Real Estate Sales Team is the place to go. We're getting him linked in. There he is.
Can you
Bob,
see me?
you made it. We can see you and we can hear you, but we cannot smell you. We're good. Perfect.
Oh, thank goodness.
Awesome. So do me a favor, guys. Click the share button in the bottom left-hand corner. And if you tag Bob Loeffler, he will give you a free $5 gift card to your local coffee shop. Yeah? Or is that not? Car wash. Local car wash. Awesome. So welcome, Bob. Live stream. This is your first ever live stream, correct?
That's right.
How do you feel
dead
being
stream,
live?
But I've never done live stream. I feel remarkably lifelike.
You look remarkably lifelike. In fact, I think you look younger on live stream.
That's true.
Yeah. So in 60 to 90 seconds, share with all the viewers a little bit about yourself, of how you got to where you're at with business today.
Well, I got into real estate in 1984, failed miserably for 5 years, count them, 5 long torture-filled years, and then I met Floyd Wickman, went through a Floyd Wickman program and learned how to sell for the first time in my real estate career, and then ended up retaking his program every time it would come to town, ended up doing about 10 times. And then my partner and I ended up being the top producing team for Century 21 in the state of Arizona. And then I went to work for Floyd as a trainer, and then later on started Fearless Agent. So here we are now helping thousands of real estate agents.
And there you go. So 1980, what did you get into the real estate world?
1984, right after the Civil War. Yeah.
That was the year I was born. Did you know that? I was born in 1984.
I did know that. That's right.
Yeah. So yeah. So then you failed till 1989, right?
Roughly. That's right.
Okay. So how bad is failure? What does failure look like for those 5 years, Bob?
Well, let's see. I had I bought a car phone. I don't know. They used to have these car phones that were attached to the car. The car phone cost $3,500. The car was worth about $1,500, to give you some idea. And, I just was working every day, working really hard, and never really, I'd do a deal now and then, but it was very inconsistent. My income was up and down, and it was horrible. Had a $12,000 IRS tax lien, and, I was just a miserable idiot selling real estate, not doing it right.
And what were interest rates in 1989?
They were 15%. In 1984, they were 15% coming down off of 21. So, that was some big fun. And the average house took about a year to a year and a half to sell in my area. And that was the fastest selling part of town. So the market was, but we thought that was normal because it had been that way for so long. So that's just how it was.
So what changed?
That wasn't my problem. My problem was skills, schedule, and systems. And once I learned that stuff, then everything turned around. And, I didn't change my personality. It's still horrible. Don't worry about that. I didn't change my attitude. I had a good attitude. I changed my skills. I learned how to sell for the first time and got my made it so every day looked identical, and that's what did it. So now we teach that to other people. You can do it too. Trust me.
It's what we call the fight to suck less. Isn't that what we call it, Bob?
That's right. That's right.
Take yourself all the way to the top out of the ditch is how I like to say it. So I failed before I met you, right? I sold 2 homes before I met you, 10 months in the business. One was my sister's house.
He was driving a Subaru. It was
no, I wasn't even a Subaru at that point. I was a Honda Civic when I first met you.
He was on a Schwinn.
Okay, so what changed? How did you change things to go from a failure to the #1 team in Arizona with Century 21?
You know, truthfully, I started telephone prospecting. You know, Floyd tricked me into doing something one day, and that was in his program. He'd have what he would call the days of pain. So you had to have 3 days of pain per week. And so a day of pain means you started at 9 a.m., you called on the telephone till 9 p.m. and cold calling. And then if you scheduled a listing appointment that day, then it counted as a day of pain. If you didn't schedule a listing appointment between all those calls from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., it did not count as a day of pain. It was just painful. And I can tell you the first day I did that, you know, it's 9 p.m. I make my last call, and I'd scheduled no listing appointments, but I was a completely different person at the end of that day. I had heard it all. And I recommend that to students all the time. I had a guy the other day, and he was very fearful of the phone. I said, hey, do me a favor, you know, tomorrow to 8 p.m., you know, take a break for dinner and lunch and, you know, bathroom and that kind of stuff. So, and then, you know, just keep track of the number of listing appointments that you schedule and the number of, you know, good leads, people that for sure are going to sell their house. Maybe not right now, but within 2 years or something like that. And then call me the next day or that night and let me know how it went. And he gave me a call and he said, you know what? I scheduled a listing appointment and I got a couple of great leads and I am no longer afraid of the phone. I actually enjoy telephone prospecting. So I would recommend that to anybody. That was a life-changing day for me. So from then on, I just spent every day calling from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. unless I couldn't. And the only reason I couldn't would be because I had a 2:30 p.m. listing appointment or a 7 p.m. listing appointment. So I was either calling or I was on the appointments and I didn't do anything else. And all the agents that were doing other things in my company were making less money than me.
Sterling Williams asked, do you do coaching for commercial, multifamily type prospecting?
No, but he can certainly call me and I probably could help him. If we don't do, you know, I don't do things that I don't do, but if somebody ever has a question, they can always give me a call and I'll always help. You know, I had a lady the other day who just signed up for coaching. I think this is a good lesson. But she said, you know, she talked to me for prior to signing up with Fearless Agent. And then she called me for the first time after she had signed up. And she goes, you know, I can't believe that you picked it. She goes, we were done with the conversation, she goes, I kind of can't believe that you actually picked up the phone. I thought this was going to be one of those deals where you spend time with me to get my money and then we never talk again. And I said, hey, I'm always happy to help you. If you ever have a question, I want you to call me. And I want you to do that, be that way with your customers. You know, when sometimes you have sellers that are in a financial jam and, you know, like I charge 7%, that's not going to change. But if they can't afford me, I'm always going to go meet with them. I'll always help them. And you know what happens is sometimes people come back around and they all of a sudden can't afford you, or they refer you to a friend or something. So if you just always come at it from, I'm going to help you. At Fearless Agent, our motto is we will always help you whether you can afford us or not. If you like what we do, you can't get it anyplace else. So I'm going to get you sooner or later. one way or the other. So we'll always help you. You can, all of you guys can always feel free to call me. I don't have anything better to do than to make you rich in real estate. So feel free to call.
So what is the number one secret to cold calling? Like, because we've seen on Facebook ads, people saying cold calling is dead. It's a thing of the past, blah, blah, blah. But yet people like me and other students are having a lot of success. That. Yeah, tell all your competitors that. So there's a lot of people.
Yeah, hard work never pays off. Don't ever do any of that crap, right?
Yeah, don't work. So what's the secret to it?
The secret to telephone prospecting, write this down. It is never care what other people think. Never care what other people say. And never care what other people do. If I really care about you, I won't care what you think. I won't care what you say. I won't care what you do. I will only care about what I say and what I think and what I do. And I'm going to say and do and think the right things. And I'm never going to care about the money. I charge what I charge. That's just settled. But I'll always care about the people. And that, I think, is what makes fearless agents different than other agents. When other agents are prospecting or presenting, they're always talking about them and their cool stuff and staging and the drone and the photos and the flyers and all the crap that doesn't sell houses. Fearless agents are asking the questions that are no one will ever care more about you. No one will ever care more about selling your house for more than it's actually worth. We care about it more than the seller does. And when the seller knows that, you will never lose a listing. I promise you that.
So for those of you guys that are watching, it's not about telling them anything, but it's about getting really great at asking these questions, right? I remember early on, and when I was learning from you, I was getting answers to questions that just didn't help me. And you just said, well, ask better questions, ask the question differently, right? How did you hone the skill of asking great questions, the science of sales, of an elaborate setup to that there's no wrong answer? How did you learn that?
Well, I had learned from all the other coaches out there. If you look on the interwebs, or what is this thing we're on, Facebook? Is that what it's called? Yeah. If you look at all the other coaches that are out there, they're always asking these completely ridiculous questions. They sound very high pressure. The whole thing is all about them. And so Floyd Wickman, who is my mentor and great friend and the best sales guy in real estate I've ever seen in my life, he was doing something different. Well, what he was doing is he would do this elaborate setup, is what I call it. He would set you up and set you up and set you up, and then he would ask you the magic question that you really couldn't get wrong if your life depended on it. And he already knew the answer to that question. And he never really talked about that, but I had just watched him. And I thought that is what he's doing differently. And I really did care about being great at sales. I wasn't just somebody who wanted to, I see people, I say, what's your goal? They go, I want to build a team, and all this baloney. And I say, well, why don't you get good at what you do at first? They have no skills, they have no production, and they're all of a sudden they're wanting to do. So I wanted to be very good at the mechanics of real estate. And I was great at writing contracts and all that stuff. What I wasn't good at was getting good on the telephone, and I wasn't good face to face. And so I just cared very much about having the world's greatest listing presentation, the presentation, the best for sale by owner presentation, buyer presentation, and investor presentation, and being the best at presenting offers to people and showing a house. There's a right way and a wrong way to do that. So I wanted to get really great at all those things. There is a best way to do those things. Every fearless agent knows it. So once you have the mechanics of real estate and then those presentations, then it's about being great on the phone or face-to-face if you're in an open house. And then once you're great on the phone and you're great face to face, then it is about managing your time and delegating all the stuff that you either don't want to do or should not be doing, low dollar per hour activities, and like screwing around on Facebook doing this. What are we doing? We're wasting money. We could be making money. It's okay. We'll just take the day off. So anyway, but I got great at those things, and learning from Floyd and seeing how he thinks and how he talks. And I'll mention one thing. Nobody ever talks slower than Floyd. And you hear people use the phrase fast talking salesperson. That's not a compliment, okay? Everybody should slow down. And I say that on somebody will call me up just asking about my program or whatever, and I'll say, I'm going to give you a little coaching tip right now. You talk too fast. Most people talk way too fast when they're on the phone. They should slow down, and then people are less likely to interrupt you when you talk slower. So it's just, stuff like that. This is not rocket surgery. Anybody could do it. Anybody could be a fearless agent. Even Colton, look at him. Even he did it.
Even I somehow made it. I don't know how.
I don't know how that happened.
I used to talk really fast on the phone, right? Almost like hyperventilating.
Like Woody Woodpecker, he was talking.
I was choking on my own breath, right? Because I didn't want them to hang up on me. But when I slowed down, they actually listened to me better than when I was trying to spit it out. Right? You remember how embarrassing I was as a real estate person when you first met me? Like, do you remember what I was?
Colton walks into the room. This is I forget what year it was. He walks in the room. He looks like my paper boy, right? I think immediately, this guy's not going to make it in real estate, So
Thank you.
Then I do my little 3-hour show, dogs, ponies, smoke mirrors, all that kind of stuff. And then he comes up at the end of the program and he says, "I'm going to do exactly what you tell me to do." Do you remember saying that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He doesn't do it now, but he said it then. Okay, so anyway, I said, "Oh, he is going to be successful in real estate." And I said, tell me what's going on in your life. So you were a junior in college.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And then he finished college, and then he was he didn't have a paper route, but he was reading gas meters, getting chased by people's pit bulls in their backyard or something.
It's worse.
Like that. And then that was worse. And then I think you'd been in the business about 6 months or something like that, and had a couple of deals. But
yep.
But then I told him exactly what to do. He did exactly what I told him to do. And I look back on that, and all of the most successful fearless agents, and I think there are probably no exceptions, in the very top producing fearless agents, they all had that in common. They were new when I got to them. It is much harder to untrain somebody who has either been coaching with some other coach and their head's all full of that crap that I have to retrain them on. So you did great, huh? Look how nice he turned out.
The only thing that will ruin it is your own better idea, right? That was whenever I was messing up is because I thought I had a better idea. And even though you had said, don't do that, I would do it. I would fail. And then I'm like, okay, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go do a
Bob. Yeah, what I didn't tell you is I had that same stupid idea 10 years ago and it screwed me up. So.
And at that time, I didn't have the money to sign up. I had to borrow $1,000 from my sister, which ultimately made her one of my first clients because I owed her money. And so she wanted to make sure I got paid.
She had to get the money back.
She had to get paid back.
By giving you business. Yeah. So she loaned you the money. You charged her 7%. They her own money back. The whole thing didn't work out for her. I don't know.
It worked perfect for me because life has turned out great today for me.
I hope she doesn't see this video.
It was actually, she bought a house. Right?
Where we're making fun of her. That's fun.
So what's the formula for an agent to just minimum one transaction per week? What is that super simple formula?
Here's what I would recommend. First of all, you have to decide, do you want to work with sellers only or buyers only? Okay. because the people who want to do a little bit of both, that's torture. So if you are currently an agent that's doing maybe 50% buyers, 50% sellers, and yes, there is vodka in this drink. You don't have to wonder about that. That's true. But if you're wondering, you know, just from a personal preference, I would ask you this: would you, if the money was the same, and you could work with only sellers or only buyers, which would you prefer? Okay, so if you're brand new in real estate, you might not even know that, but if you do know it and you say, okay, I want to work with sellers, then what I would have you do would be different than with buyers. If you want to work with buyers only, then I would recommend an open house model for generating an unlimited supply of free buyer leads. I would never recommend any fearless agent. No fearless agent needs to spend money in any kind of a lead generation, you know, web thing or anything like that. Then if you want to work with sellers, then I would recommend being a rock star on the telephone. Be nice, talk slow, call nice people, start the day calling your sphere, asking for referrals. Then you could do that if you were a buyer agent as well. Then go to any new for sale by owners. Don't be screwing around calling all those old stale FSBOs. Call any new expireds if there are any. Target the people that are likely to have equity, because that's what you get paid out of. So multifamily, condos tend not to have equity. Luxury properties, not price, but you know, like 4,500 square foot and above houses tend not to gain value very much, so they have less equity. They're less motivated. You know, vacant property. So if it's owner occupied FSBOs, you're going to have a lot better luck. Say the fearless agent dialogue, get your question answered. It's either a yes or a no. Then you're going to get, you know, appointments booked. Then go to follow-up calls from previous cold calls, which is where the real money gets made in real estate. And then spend the rest of the day, as many hours as you can, on the phone, cold calling, you know, through neighborhoods, targeted people with equity, and you know, neighborhoods with equity. And then be great at follow-up. You know, so never follow up with a buyer, never follow up with a FSBO, never follow up with an expired. They get one shot, they get one chance to book an appointment to meet with you. If not, they're dead to you. Step over their rotting, stinking carcass and get on with your life. You know what I'm talking about? So then because you want to get to the cold calls as quickly as you can. So kind of like my mindset was, I'm on the phone talking to the sphere, and I think, I can't wait to get through the sphere so I can get to the new for sale by owners. And then I'm talking to the for sale by owners, and I think, well, I can't wait to get through the for sale by owners to get to the new expireds. And then I call in the expires, and I go, I can't wait to get to the follow-up calls from my previous cold calls. And then I think, yeah, I can't wait to get through these so I can get to the new cold calls so I can start filling up my pipeline. And then I just spend the whole rest of the day there, and you know, that's easy. And then if I have an appointment at 2:30 in the afternoon, I'll go. You know, I have lunch at noon. If I have a 2:30 appointment, I have to leave at 2. If I don't, then I'm going to be back on the phone at 2. And you know, people will sometimes ask, well, how many calls does it take to book a listing appointment? And the answer is all of them, right? It's like, if I hire you to paint my house, you're not gonna quit painting until it's all painted. So every day you want to schedule one listing appointment on average. So if you schedule 5 listing appointments a week, then 2 of them will cancel. You'll go on 3, you'll list 1, and that's a formula that you can really depend on. So that's what I would always recommend.
And that's at a minimum. I mean, imagine if you set, we got some students setting 2 or 3 appointments in a day. Little alone.
Well, they're drinking coffee and not vodka.
That's the secret. Oh my gosh, drinking the coffee, not the vodka. So one of the things that I'd like to bring up, and you brought it up a little bit, is oftentimes people misunderstand, thinking that their fearless agent says don't do any follow-up. What fearless agents is saying is follow up with real leads, nice, sane people that have a reason to move, not crazy, insane people that if they can get $550,000 out of their house when it's worth $450,000, like that's not someone you want to follow up with, right? Who would be the ideal person that you'd put into that follow-up?
Well, I want everybody to write this down. So it's nice, sane, smart, tons of equity to pay you with, and very serious about selling their house right now at fair market value. So that's the profile of every seller who has ever paid you. And if you ever had a seller that paid you that didn't fit that profile, you probably regretted it, right?
Yes.
So you said, oh, I should have faked my own death to get out of that one. But so those are the people. Now, how am I going to know if they're nice or not? Well, you're going to know. How am I going to know if they're sane or not? Well, you're going to know. If they're stupid, there's usually some evidence about that. If they don't have equity, you can find that out. If they're not serious about selling their house right now, they say things that tell you they're not serious. People will say, we don't have to sell. And then I say, we're going to sell, because everybody who sells has to sell. You know how I know that? Because moving is not fun. People don't move a lot because it's fun. They avoid it, they put it off. So sellers all have something in common. They have a problem that you can solve. And it's a time problem, like I'm driving too far from work, or a distance problem. They have a money problem. I lost my job. I'm going through a divorce. I need to downsize not because my house is just too big and I don't need all this room. That's an unmotivated seller. Payment is too big. I need something smaller, something cheaper. They've got to have a money problem, a time problem, a distance problem, a space problem, like we had another kid and we don't have any place to put it, so we're storing it on top of the microwave, for God's sakes. So I've got to have a bigger house, or I got a job transfer. They've got to have a problem, and it's nice when they need the money from this house to buy the house they're going to buy. And so you can avoid, I would say, if you go looking for trouble, you'll find it, right? So where's the trouble? It's people that don't need the money from the house they're going to sell to buy the one they're going to buy. So luxury can have some unique problems in that regard. They don't have any equity. How would I find people with no equity? Well, the houses in the neighborhood were built after the year 2000. Guaranteed they don't have tons of equity, all right? So I can target the areas of town that are going to likely have more equity. So there's two sides to every town. There's the good side of town and there's the hood side of town, right? So if you see a guy with no shirt, with Levi's and his hat on backwards, riding a girl's bicycle, that's the hood side of town, right? So the other side of town is where the equity is. Yeah, that's right. So yeah, I know where to go in Colton's town to find that guy. So then you would want to focus on single family homes, because they double in value much faster than anything else. Entry level single family homes will double in value much faster and gain equity quicker than luxury. So all things being equal, less expensive sells faster and more often and easier than more expensive. Closer to town, the closer you get to town, the more equities there's going to be. So that's true in every town. So you can just think it through and target older people, have more equity than young people. Anybody who's below 40, like millennials. What do all millennials have in common? They're broke. That's what they have in common. They've got no money. So if somebody's a millennial, you never ever want to talk to them. Maybe they make great buyers, but if you're focusing on sellers, forget them. Their parents have money. That's the people you want to talk to. Now, if you're focusing on buyers, then you know, the age of the person probably doesn't matter, but you know, you can avoid problems with buyers too. So I would say if you're doing an open house strategy, avoid FHA and VA buyers. Make sure that the buyers have 20% down or more, because if you're in a market where there's competing offers on every listing, you want to make sure that your buyer can put non-refundable earnest money. It doesn't have to be contingent upon the appraisal. You know, they've got enough money down where that's possible. It's conventional loan or cash, you know. So you just need to be pickier of buyers you work with. And this isn't a charity business. This is a for-profit, you know, endeavor for you. So you don't have to work with every buyer. You don't have to work with every seller. You can be picky, and then you'll have a happier life. You'll make more money. You can take weekends off like I did if you work with sellers. So
I never work weekends. That's a terrible idea.
What was I supposed to say? What was the question? I was so.
That was the answer. So you've obviously been alive long enough in the real estate world. You sold real estate in the 1900s.
I started with a company called Century 19. That's how long I've been alive. Too long.
Century 19. So you've seen great markets. You've seen bad markets. You've seen great markets. You've seen bad markets. We're obviously have been in a great market the last while, according to statistics. What do you recommend that no matter what the market is, that these guys can do and they will make a lot of money, even if it's a great market or a bad market? And what should they not do so they don't get messed up when the market shifts?
When I started in real estate, I didn't have this glare on my head. Can you see that? Well, there are certain things that will make you market proof. You'll never have, like you are a great example of that. You were doing exactly what I taught you to do. And I remember you sent me an email one time and you said, everybody is bailing out of real estate because they can't make money. And you were doubling your business that year and the next year when everybody else says, oh, you can't do it. You know, you can't make any money in this market. Well, you did because you were always on the phone. So here's a little rule of thumb. Let's say you're going to do telephone prospecting. The dollars per hour that you earn when you're telephone prospecting will probably never change really, because if your price range, let's say, is higher, you tend to have more competition for those homes than you do if you're working the hood, let's say. But you know, it's easier to get listings in a lower price range, so you'll get more of them. But the prospecting dollars per hour are always going to be the same. If you are, if there's a market where it's, some people today are in a market where the houses, you can't hardly buy a listing. You know, very difficult to get listings. The inventory is very low, but when you get one, it sells in 5 seconds. That market will change, and it will be easy to get listings, but it will take a lot longer for them to sell. Not if you're a fearless agent. We know a secret magic trick that will fix that. But so to market proof yourself, I would say always be picky about who you work with. If you're doing buyers, always do the buyers that are easy to work with. More money down. You know, it doesn't have to be contingent on all kinds of stuff. And then if you're working with sellers, you know, just make sure they have a lot of equity, and or you're targeting the people with equity. You know, if somebody comes to you and they don't have any equity, that's one thing, but you don't go looking for trouble, because you will find it. It's out there. So
what you're saying is prospect and go on appointments and find nice, sane, smart people, no matter what the market is. That's what you're saying?
Yeah. Yeah. And don't get distracted. Oh, here's the other thing. No matter how far you go down the road of success in real estate, you're always the same distance from the ditch. And the ditch is REOs, it's short sales, it's some temporary market-based thing. And the most common story I hear is I was a very successful agent, you know, back in the day, and then I got distracted by this bright shiny object, and it was called REOs or short sales, and I got certified as an REO expert or a short sale expert, and now I'm flat broke and I can't get back on track. And if they'd have just stuck with the basics, it is true that listings are the name of the game. This is an inventory business, right? A certain number, if you had all the listings in your zip code, you would participate in 100% of the sales. So listings, is a good thing to focus on. You'll make higher dollars per hour for certain. But if that is not your preference, then I always say the secret to life is not doing what you love, but it certainly involves avoiding what you hate. So I don't ever want to coach somebody to do something they hate. So let's say they hate telephone prospecting. Okay, well then you're going to be a buyer person. And some people better, it's not shopping, we're looking at houses, they think that's fun. I would rather stab myself in the eye than look at another house as long as I live, but that's just me. So I don't mind calling all day long because that's fun, talking to nice people. But that's a personal preference. So do what you don't hate. But the work you do, if you work with buyers, is the open houses. The reward you get for the work you do is showing the houses. The work you do is telephone prospecting. If you're a listing agent, the reward you get for the work you do is the listing presentation. That's fun to go on the listing show. But at some point, I know it happened to you, at some point you would say, I would actually rather just stay on the phone prospecting than even go on the listing appointment. That actually, it became annoying to me that I got to schlep my junk over there and meet with these people. When that used to be the most fun thing, and then it turned that the most fun thing was actually the phone. And it's kind of like a game for a fearless agent, because you say, I'm going to ask them a question, and they're going to answer a question I did not ask. And watch how that does not work, because I'm a fearless agent and I'm getting my question answered, and that's the way it is, right? So that's how we do it. So it's got to be fun, and sometimes if it's not fun, some days you just settle for the money.
Yeah. Well, I tell you one thing that I don't hate is I don't hate making a lot of money.
Pizza is one thing I don't hate.
If I could choose to make a lot of money or make no money, I'm going to go with a lot of money. It's a new pasta.
So you
it's
can
called
buy
a
more
lot of
pizza
money.
if you have more money, right?
Yeah, I don't eat pizza anymore. Can't you see how skinny I am, Bob?
Are you insane?
I eat cauliflower.
I should choke him.
So what is this? One thing that was huge for me was to understand, to get my question answered. You just barely mentioned that fearless agents do that. They get their question answered. What is it that not fearless agents are doing that's messing them up with getting these questions answered versus
stupid questions? I mean, these other coaches, they're saying, why do you think your house didn't sell? It's like, holy cow. I'm supposed to know that. I'm the real estate professional. Why would it be asking an expired why he thinks his house didn't sell? If he knew that, we wouldn't even be talking, right? So asking dumb questions that don't lead directly to the appointment schedule, that's one big issue. And then the other one is just they'll ask a question and not get it answered, So if you're a fearless agent and you say to a for sale by owner, let's say, let me ask you this. If you knew for certain that by doing business with me, that two things would happen. One is your house would actually sell. And number two is you would end up with way, way more money, bottom line, than you could get any other way, with or without an agent. And I know that's a big promise, but if you knew that, would you at least want to hear about it? And the for sale by owner says, well, Bob, if you bring me a buyer, I'll pay you 3%. And then most agents would get off track on something like that. But a fearless agent would say, can I ask you about that? And then, of course, you don't ask them about that, because that would be ridiculous. But it shuts them up. They go, yeah. And you say, let's say there was a magic trick that only I know, and that is true, and it would cause your house to sell for more than it's actually worth, and the buyer would grossly overpay. Would you be offended if I could do that? And they say, no. Okay, would you like to know step by step exactly how that works? And they'll say, yes. You say, okay. Step number one is you and I are going to meet, okay? And I like to meet with people in the afternoons or the evenings. By the way, do you guys have a 9-to-5 jobs? No. Okay. Well, I've got 2:30 p.m. available next Tuesday, or would the following Thursday be better? And when we meet, we're only going to talk about one thing, and that is the magic trick that causes the buyer to grossly overpay for your house. And you said that would not offend you if I could do that. Is that correct? Is that still true? So we're not going to be talking about any other things unless there's something more important than that to talk about. Is there anything more important than that?
No.
No, there isn't.
Not.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
So, okay, great. So here's what we'll do. And then I'll ask them all the questions about their house and get their, but I've got to give them a reason to meet. And it has been my experience that most sellers are like me. Most sellers would like to sell their house for more than it's actually worth, if that's possible. And it's not possible if they don't have a fearless agent as their agent. It would be impossible. But it's always possible if you have a fearless agent as your agent, because that's the trick we know how to do that no one knows how to do. So we teach it to you so you can deliver on the promise. He knows how to do it.
The trick is the fearless agent presentation. Is that what you're saying?
Well, that's the trick to get them to sign up with you. But you know, when you have a listing and you say, hey, when you call me and you say, hey, Bob, I got this listing and I need to make the buyer overpay, and you call me, I'm going to know how to do it. We're going to work as a team, and we're going to do it because that's what I care about. Your sellers getting their house sold for more than they're worth, even more than your sellers care about it. You fearless agents care more about that than the sellers. But when the sellers know you care more about that, the thing they care about the most, and they find out that you care about it more than they care about it. You know, people always say people don't care about what you care about till you care about what they care about, and caring about what they care about is what caring about is all about. Isn't that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, there's that.
So you just gotta want more money for them than they do, and then they'll love you, and then they'll think you're the god of real estate, and they'll tell everyone about you. And then instead of working like for sale by owners, I did a lot of for sale by owners. In fact, 75% of the for sale by owners that I sold, I never talked to ever again because I wanted to shoot my head out, right? Because they were just not nice people, and I sold their house for way more than they could have done on their own, but they still didn't appreciate it, right?
They're ungrateful.
Yeah, they're ungrateful. But when I stopped doing
for the money,
I still did it for the money. However, once I finally got the concept that I could get a repeatable referral business in working my sphere of influence and my follow-ups, that's when I started making the real money, right? $200,000 was cool. $500,000 was way cooler and way funner and way easier. Way cooler. And it was funner. The people are nicer, you know. They actually like me and appreciate me. And I don't sell big houses.
And there's more funner.
They're fun. They're the funner, more funner.
Funnest. Yeah.
And I am all three of those.
And he went to college. I didn't even go to college.
Yeah. And I actually graduated from high school. Did you?
No. Oh, no. Yeah, thanks for bringing that up.
So how can anyone that watches this video learn more about...
You mean there's people watching this crap?
Yeah.
Are you serious? Oh my God.
So how can these people watching this crap learn more about Fearless Agent or talk with you?
First, they need to get a life. Why are they watching this? Oh, I thought we were just doing jokes together. I didn't realize that people would be watching.
Yep, people watched it. Unbelievable. So what do they do? How do they get in touch with Fearless Agent?
I would go directly. Do not pass go. Don't dilly-dally. Don't wait. Go to fearlessagent.com right now. It's on that computer thing. And then watch, if you haven't already, watch the free test drive webinar, which would, if my jokes haven't turned you off by now, I'm serious about this, the webinars will. There's no doubt about that. So go watch the webinar. If at the end of that, you're saying, gee, this Bob guy, is there something wrong with him? But I think he knows what I need. Then you can sign up for coaching, and we will fix your real estate earning problems.
And
Just do what I tell you to do. It always works. It's easy.
yeah. So do that, fearlessagent.com.
He was even able to do it.
Yeah, and just so you know, when I signed up, the internet didn't really exist like it does today. So I had to travel. I had to drive. Remember, like for a weekly class, I think I had to drive
That's right.
1.5 hours, and I went through that class 6 times. I can't remember how many sessions. Was it like 6 weeks or 8 weeks or something like that?
It was too much, really.
It was too much.
It was too much of a
all
good
day.
thing.
I had to sit in class all day long, and I had to drive an hour and a half to get there. And I went through that 6 times, and I had to borrow money the first time to go through it.
Well,
and so
he said he had to drive an hour and a half. I had to fly an hour and a half to get there.
You did have to fly to get there.
And then I had to
That's
go
true.
freeze my butt off in that godforsaken town of yours where snow comes out of the air. I don't know what that's all about.
So my point being is
Scottsdale with the Swedish bikini team, and now I got to go to Park City, Utah, and freeze my butt off.
They're
firing a cannon into the mountains, so it causes an avalanche. I'm thinking, I thought I had problems around the house.
I just didn't know that the Swedish bikini team was in town, or I would have flown to you.
Scottsdale. It's Scottsdale. Are you kidding me? Come on.
I love Scottsdale. I'm going to sell my house today and move to Scottsdale. All right, guys, hit the share button and give some reactions, some thumbs up if this created any value for you. Thumb up.
That didn't sound good. Hit thumb ups. Hit share.
And hit the angry button if it was just terrible. And then if are those files behind you, Bob? I think those are books behind you.
These are books. These are books. Now, I've read all these books. That's where the jokes come from. Homer, Thucydides, Sophocles, Aristotle, a bunch of other dead guys.
And a bunch of other dead guys. Bob reads a lot of books from dead people. So, yeah, go read. Yeah, don't read them from people that are alive. They don't know what they're talking about.
You know what Aristotle said? Aristotle, in I think it's this book right here. He said, power and make be. And that's what you get when you're a fearless agent, isn't it?
Ooh, you get power, be, and to make things be. I like that.
That's right.
I'm gonna say that. I'm gonna say that later, and I'm gonna tell people I said that. You think that will go well?
Well, they'll say, didn't Aristotle say that? And
I'm like,
yeah, that's right.
I'm like, maybe he did, maybe he didn't. You know, I thought it was Abraham Lincoln.
That's right. I wasn't there.
I don't know. I didn't.
He did write it down in that book right over there, though.
Awesome. So go ahead and click that share button. Go to fearlessagent.com and learn more and get signed up, or you're crazy. One of the two. You are either a nice, sane real estate person that's smart and wants to make a lot of money, and you'll go sign up for Fearless Agent, or you are insane, crazy, mean, dumb, and not sign up. Those are your two choices.
Is that how we do it?
Is that
we call the customers stupid?
No,
if you don't sign up, you're an idiot, and we don't even want to talk to you. Is that how we? That doesn't sound nice. Come on, don't listen to this guy. He's crazy. Oh my goodness gracious!
Have you ever heard me say something dumb before, Bob?
That's the vodka talking. That's great. Yes, I've heard you say crazy things.
I have said some stupid things in my life.
Right.
Believe it
and
or
he's
not.
not done yet, folks.
And the secret to success is when I've said stupid things, I said, you know what, that was stupid. I'm not going to say that stupid thing again, but I might say something else stupid. So I stopped that stupid thing.
Stupid stuff.
Never the same stupid thing over and over again.
Keeping the stupid stuff fresh. That's what
yeah. Yeah. Hey, you know what they say, Bob?
What do they say?
Some stuff. Yep.
Is that right?
But the question I've always wanted to know is, who are they? Like, who are these people?
I don't know. They're the guys that wrote these books. I don't know. I don't know who it is.
Yeah, those books look really short. Are they really that short?
No.
They're not that.
They're not short. They're not short, and they are boring. Let me tell you.
Okay, well, perfect.
I'm keeping it real. I'm keeping it real dull. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. I could go further with this, but I'll take it off. I'll cut it off now. Share now. Go to fearlessagent.com. We're getting the angry faces because that's how awesome our reactions are. Oh, we get the hearts now.
We're out of here.
See ya.
History.
Do you remember this? Cut it out. See ya.